Is your heart in a holy place? All I can feel is my heart beating really fast from either the caffeine I had or the music today. I want to take on some of the issues around what we're singing about, which is love, and start with this question. Or, in other words, can love redeem romance? So, I want to start with a serious thing, and that is that I've been watching The Affair. I didn't say I was having an affair. Don't go walking out of here saying that I've been having an affair. I've been watching the show, The Affair. For those of you not watching, it's a story about two people. They are tortured souls to some extent. It takes place in Montauk, Long Island, in a place where I used to go with my grandparents. They used to rent a small wooden cabin on the beach in Montauk and take all of the cousins and my siblings and make us sleep in the same bed and on couches and on the floor so we could soak in the beach for the week at the end of the summer. The story is about a writer named Noah who meets this young woman named Allison, both tortured souls in their own ways, seeking in each other a kind of release from the pressures of life. And they start an affair. But it lacks romance. It has an urgent quality, a brutal kind of honesty that's amplified by the events around their lives. No spoiler alert. And by the way, I haven't seen the last one in the season, so if you have, don't tell me about it. A line from the show stands out. Noah, who's also a teacher in New York City with teenagers teaching English, speaking of Romeo and Juliet, says to them that young love is pure and optimistic and only messed up by adults. At one point, Allison, a local, is giving Noah a summer person, as they call them, in places invaded by summer tourists. She's giving this summer person a tour so that he can write a book set in this place. And they go to the docks, and she says, in a way, to him, "What do you think? You have this romantic, idyllic notion of this fishing community. The fishermen, they go out at night, and they stay out all night in the cold, in the wet, in the angry ocean, and they come back tired and exhausted. This isn't a place just of beautiful vistas, soothing to the heart. This is where we live." She breaks the romance at every turn in her story. It's not your average Shakespeare in love. And that's why I like it. Don't get me wrong, I am a romantic. I tend to fall apart at the drop of a hat when a commercial comes on that has a romantic notion. I burst into tears the other day, and this is a picture of me, at a film about an underdog cross-country running team. But I'm also a realist, and I appreciate when romance is challenged, especially on the screen. And some I hear say we have lost romance. I don't agree. I think it just looks different now. It looks a little more sarcastic, a little more scientific, a little more gay, and that's a good thing, that we can see romance in so many different forms today. But the question on this Valentine's Day moment, this time before Lent, is how romance calls us to something deeper, what I call an unlimited love. And that unlimited love draws us into a deeper faith. Arthur Schopenhauer, a mid-1800s, 19th century philosopher, said romantic love is the trick of the species, putting it lower than friendship and compassion. He said romantic love was evolutionary shaped by our urge to sexuality, love of the ecstatic state of passion itself, which do I say we need more of. And if you look at this slide, you will see. Liberals, Harvard says, have more sex into their 80s, and that's good news, especially for you who come to this church. Now, sexuality isn't the sermon today, but it's a healthy part of being a person of faith when it's mutual and responsible and promotes, not degrades, self-worth. Ask any youth here in this church who's taken our whole lives, our sexuality curriculum, and they will tell you that it helps clarify their values. But this isn't a sermon about that. Back to love and romance. I think romance can intrigue us back to caring, can urge us toward love, but I call a deeper form of love unlimited love. It's another thing. Romance, scientists say, lasts between 6 months and 3 years. It's a force that makes us do all sorts of things, but it can't be the only thing. It must be transformed because it loses its power over time. And this is where spirituality comes in. Spiritual transformation of love means we move from romantic love, from our feelings for one another, places, churches, jobs, even our country. We move from that passion to more benevolent forms of love. Forms of love that don't disappoint. What I'm saying is that we are programmed to move from this notion of romantic to unlimited love, unselfish love, like parent to child, to evolve our love into something more sustainable, forgiving, stable, unswerving, more mature. The ministers this week spent a few hours with John Shelby Spong, who you know from his books on rescuing the Bible from fundamentalists. He talked about the essence of religion, and of course, it drew him to love. Love others to the point of loving them more than you love yourself, he said. He spoke of his love for his wife as almost sacrificial. He had a question about whether he loved his children in that same way. He said, love others more than you love yourself. Something I had to ask myself if I was doing that. He said, you need first to be loved so completely into being human that you are made whole and free to give your life for others. Let me repeat that. He said, you need first to be loved so completely into being human that you are made whole and free to give your life for others. He presumes that we can find such a deep and abiding love, but I presume we are the only ones who can give it. We are the only ones who can move from a romantic notion of love to an unlimited love through our actions, through our hearts. A wisdom story in 21 words says it this way. A newly married couple said, "What shall we do to make our love endure?" Replied the master, "Love other things together." Love other things together. That means love other people, love other places, love action, love service. I think it's a formula to mature love. Certainly to love other things together can lead us there. But the challenge is not to slip back into a romanticized notion of those things. We can love the first family, but know that they are faulty too. We can love the service we do for others, but if we romanticize it, we can start to love that we are so benevolent and never understand the depths of the suffering we encounter when we serve others. We can love a child together, our children who were sitting here, and then never see them as real human beings with their own lives. I think I do that 4 or 5 times a day with my children. My sister and her wife just had a baby. There are all those expected photos flying around, those romantic photos of babies being held. Logan is his name. Reality yet to hit is what I say. My sister, like anyone, will have to move from romance to a deeper embrace, to acceptance, to forgiveness, or live in perpetual disappointment. We can also love our spiritualities in this way and never see the times when we co-opt another's culture or religion, or we can love blindly the faith of our choice and either never question it or never take responsibility for it, allowing others, usually ministers standing at pulpits, to vicariously practice our religion for us. In religious life, the romantic love happens all the time. Here in this place, the continually discontented walk through the doors. They come here, they are attracted to us for 1 or 10 reasons, and then fade away when demands are put upon them. Those who stay, I believe, are transformed in their love for this place. They transform it to a deeper, unlimited sense, a stronger kind of love. And dare I say, experience here the love of God through that commitment. The love of God. How does it look to Unitarian Universalists? This troubling notion that God loves us. What I mean when I say that is something that we see when we see mutuality. When we see those who love us and care for us, even when we don't even know who those people are. It happens every day in this community. When we experience an unearned care, a care we did not work for, we did not even deserve sometimes. That's when we know the love of God. When we are held by a community, when we are held by a community. Every time we pray the pastoral prayer, we name, we hold, we practice moving to a greater love. Every time a church visitor sees an elder or writes a condolence card, or when we sit together in grief class, we practice moving to a greater love. Every time we consider the needs of another, we practice moving to a greater love. Every time we seek to heal the soul and move our way to yes, as the poet said, and notice the old wounds, the old misdirections, and then whatever way we can, she says, we lift them up close to the heart and say, holy, holy. We practice moving toward a greater, unlimited love. And every time we admit that we need to be held by something larger than ourselves or by others who we know or who we will never know, we practice moving to a greater love. That is why you are holding in your possession a yellow piece of paper. From time to time, we do an exercise that I want to invite you into now. That exercise is to practice moving toward a greater love. To name something or someone you may never meet or know, to name something they can hold for you. That is the practice we will attempt to do today. Ponder the paper you hold in your hand. See on it a way to put the words of your hopes or your dreams, a prayer you need someone else to hold. And in return, someone in this sanctuary might take that and pray over it or put it on the bathroom mirror or on their altar to consider your hope or your need. Take a moment to write the prayer you need, the one you want if you could have others pray for you, or the hope you desire. We will collect them and then randomly give them back to you as you go out the door. Mine will say, pray for my children, that they be less anxious, that they be more happy. This picture is a picture of the altar in my office. It holds cards no one took home last year. There are requests for partners and children, for forgiveness, for focus or diligence, for a brother struggling with addiction or a friend who is lost. They come in all forms. I pray over them every day. They move me to a greater love that is not romantic, but demands that I mature the heart and see you a little more clearly. So I encourage you to write now, what is the prayer you need someone here to hold? What is the hope you need someone to hear? The ushers will collect them in baskets and return them to you at the door as you leave.